Hey guys, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I want to read in June. We haven't made a TBR video on this channel in a little while, but I felt inspired this month. I think there's a good chance I'll actually read all of these books. So if any of them sound interesting to you, I'll have links from down below in the description so you can go check them out. I'm also going to have a ton of resources down below in the description that I highly encourage you to go check out to help with the Black Lives Matter movement happening right now and the protests. I'm gonna have a ton of petitions that you can go sign, places that you can go donate, links to help you send emails or make phone calls to contact representatives. Basically just a bunch of resources that you can do from the comfort of your own home that will take you less than 10 minutes to do. So please go check those links down below in the description. So with that said, let's get straight into the books that I'm hoping to read this month. I'm gonna start with the ones that I'm already in the middle of. It's June 3rd, so it's not like super far into the month or anything, but I am in the middle of two books. So we'll start with the one that I think I'm gonna finish today, actually. I'm currently reading Be Not Far From Me by Mindy McGinnis. This is a young adult contemporary survival story. I'm listening to the audiobook on Scribd and it's a super short audiobook, which is why I picked it up because I've kind of been in a reading slump, so I thought, you know, a short audiobook might help me. This one was like 5 hours long, so I was like, oh, I could finish that in a day. I'm already 2/3 of the way through it. I'm gonna finish it today. And I love Mindy McGinnis. The Female of the Species by her is one of my all-time favorite books, so I knew this book was probably a safe bet for me. And this book, we're following our main character, Ashley. She goes camping in the woods in the Smoky Mountains with a bunch of her friends. It's like a party in the woods, and basically while she's there, she catches her boyfriend cheating on her. And so she like goes off in a drunken rage and basically falls into a ravine and hurts herself so extremely badly, and she's lost and disoriented and drunk. And so the book is really about her trying to survive in these woods now. The comp titles for this were Hatchet and Wild, which are both books that I absolutely love. And I'm really enjoying the audiobook version so far, so I would recommend that if you like audiobooks. Just beware, I'm a really squeamish person. Like, I have a hard time with like graphic descriptions of injuries and stuff, which is weird because I can like see it in a movie and it doesn't bother me, but hearing a description of it really bothers me. So this book, in my opinion, is very graphic and just very like grisly and gruesome and realistic in that I don't want to spoil it for you, but if you don't like really graphic descriptions of injuries, you might have a hard time with this book. But I am really enjoying it so far. I'm flying through it, not just because it's short, but because I'm really enjoying it. I love Mindy McGinnis's writing style. I think she does a really good job of making really realistic characters. If you haven't read anything by her, I would really recommend The Female of the Species, but this book in particular reminds me of another one of her books, which is called Not a Drop to Drink. It came out a while ago, so I feel like not a lot of people have read it. So anyway, I'm really enjoying this one so far. The other book that I'm in the middle of is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is a book of the month pick for June. This book actually doesn't come out until June 30th, and it was my most highly anticipated book of the year. If you're not already a book of the month member, I'm gonna leave their link down below in the description. If you use the code SUN5, you get $5 off of your box. This video isn't sponsored or anything, but if you do that, you can get this book a month early for $10 and free shipping. So considering the list price of this book is $28, it's just such a good deal. And I'm really enjoying this so far. So Riley Sager, he writes adult mystery thrillers, and I've loved every one of his books that I've read in the past. But this one in particular, the description sounded right up my alley. Like, this is everything that I love in a book. Basically, our main character, Maggie, inherits her creepy childhood home after her father passes away, and she goes back to renovate it and get it ready to sell. And her father, while he was alive, wrote a book about their experience when they were living in this house. They only lived there for 20 days. Maggie was 5 years old, and basically this book has followed Maggie throughout her whole life. Like, it became super famous, and so everyone recognizes her as the girl from the haunted house book, essentially. And so now that she's going back to the house, we're realizing that both of her parents have lied to her her entire life about what really happened there, and we're kind of tiptoeing along the line of, is this all going to be just, you know, rooted in reality? Are there going to be realistic explanations for everything that's been happening? Or is this house like actually haunted? And like, is there really paranormal stuff going on? And I love that kind of like psychological tilt to books when you don't know if it's going to go the like supernatural route or not. I really love Riley Sager's writing style. I feel like he does a really good job with like setting the scene and making a good like atmosphere and creepy tone for a book. I'm very intrigued. I really want to know what's going on. I'm really fascinated by like old buildings that have a lot of history, and so there were so many occupants of this house before this family, and it's kind of hinted at that something clearly happened to these people, but we don't know what happened. I'm very interested to read on, especially knowing that I loved the endings of his other book, so I feel like the ending of this book is probably gonna blow me away. The next book on my list is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is our book club pick for June. I run a book club over on my Patreon page. I'll have a link down below if you're interested. We buddy read a book every month and I film like a spoilery reading vlog for it, and I'm so glad that everybody voted for this book this month because I was so excited for it. This is another like mystery thriller kind of novel set at a wedding, an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island. The bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, the bridesmaid all have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. I love this kind of like murder mystery story, and the fact that it's on like a remote island, you know someone's gonna get like pushed off the island or something. And what's interesting to me is all of the wedding guests sound like they're gonna be like very like specific, like exclusive people. Like we have a rising television star, we have a magazine publisher, like things like that. It looks like the weather is also going to be a big factor. A big storm comes. Everyone on the island has a secret, everyone has a motive, and someone won't leave this wedding alive. So the murder is going to happen during the wedding and we have to figure out who the murderer is. It's a fairly short book for a thriller. It's just about 300 pages. So I feel like I'm gonna absolutely fly through this one, and I'm so excited to film a reading vlog for it and discuss it with everyone at the end of the month. So make sure to check that link down below if you want to join us. I think this is gonna be a really good one. So the next 3 ones I've added to my list because I really wanted to prioritize reading relevant books during this time. I wanted to read books by Black authors. I wanted to educate myself with some more nonfiction on the topic. I've seen a lot of people doing the same. I think there's like some read-alongs and stuff going on, so I just want to make this like brief comment. While I think that's an awesome thing to do, like obviously I'm doing it, I just want to say this is something super worthwhile, and of course we want to support Black artists, Black businesses and everything. Just if you're doing this, I would really encourage you to be doing this in addition to other things you're doing. Like yes, of course, support all of these Black artists and these Black businesses and stuff, but I don't want to say that that's not enough, but that's not enough. So if you're participating in these things, to me, that's kind of the same thing as like posting the Black square on your social media. It's great to show solidarity, it's great to show your support, but I would just encourage you to also be actively doing other things to try and improve the situation. With that said, some books that I've added to my list. One, we're going to be reading The Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This has actually been a book on my TBR for so long. I read her novel, The Poet X, was the last year or the year before that? I can't remember, but I loved it. I've been meaning to read this book by her ever since. What sounds really interesting about this book is our main character is a cook. It's not a world I know anything about because I cannot cook, but I've always wanted to be able to. And for whatever reason, I always love like cooking movies or cooking shows, so I feel like this is something I'm really gonna enjoy. She's also a high school senior. She has a daughter that she has to care for, so basically it sounds like cooking is like her escape, but she's struggling to find time to balance her school's new culinary art class. She has a class trip to Spain that she can't afford, and her dream is to someday be working in a real kitchen. So I feel like this is gonna be just like a really like empowering book. Like I'm really gonna be rooting for this main character, and I've heard really great things about it. And just knowing how much I enjoyed The Poet X, I borrowed the audiobook from my library because that's how I read The Poet X. I listened to the audiobook because it's actually read by the author, which I always love. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. The nonfiction book that I picked out for myself is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. I've been hearing really good things about this book for years, but specifically I've heard a lot of people recommending it lately. And I used to read a lot of books about race when I was in college because I was a sociology minor, and so I took a lot of classes actually specifically about race, and I read like the new Jim Crow and things about incarceration because I took like criminology classes and stuff, and I actually really miss reading those kind of books because those were always the most interesting discussions that we had in class, and they were always the most upsetting things to read, but I always felt like they were some of the most worthwhile things on my reading list. And since I've graduated college, frankly, I've kind of dropped the ball and I haven't been reading as widely, I guess. Like I just haven't really been pushing myself to read as much out of my comfort zone on my own, and that's really something I want to change. This book is written by an award-winning journalist who I think she wrote like an article about this, and then it ended up turning into this book where she was basically voicing her frustrations on the way that race and racism were being discussed in Britain by people who weren't even affected by it. But she posted the piece originally on her blog. So basically this book tackles how Black history is eradicated to the political purpose of white dominance, whitewashed feminism, the link between class and race, basically just tackling what racism looks like in Britain today. And I feel like there's going to be a lot in this book that I don't know about. I definitely know like my high school education and everything very much told a very one-sided side of the story, you know? I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from this book, and I'm really looking forward to it. This definitely seems like the kind of book that I would have read in my classes. and I miss reading those kind of books, and it's something that in the future I really want to put more effort into finding these kind of books to read. This one sounds like it's gonna be a really good one. I encourage you to read it with me this month. The next book I have on my TBR, I've been seeing this cover everywhere and I didn't really know what it was about. It's called The Sound of Stars and it's a sci-fi book, but it's also very focused on the importance of art. I mean, like, just read the first line of this description and how can you not want to read it? A girl who risks her life for books and an alien who loves forbidden pop music work together to save humanity. Basically, 2 years ago, there was a misunderstanding between Earth and these invading aliens that destroyed 1/3 of the world's population. Our main character is 17 years old, her name is Ellie, and she's living in New York City, which is now controlled by the aliens. Deemed dangerously volatile because of their initial reaction to the invasion, humanity's emotional transgressions are now grounds for execution. All art, books, and creative expression are illegal, but Ellie breaks the rules by keeping a secret library. So there's a road trip, there's a focus on books and music, and it's a love story between this human and an alien. This sounds like something I am going to absolutely love. I am so looking forward to it. This is something I am also borrowing the audiobook from my library. We'll see. I don't know who the narrator is, so if the voice isn't awesome, we'll pick up the physical book, but I am very much looking forward to this one. This final book I threw on at the last minute just because this is a really emotional time for a lot of people. As much as I've tried to use my voice and my platform as much as I possibly can during this time, I've also realized that just like staying so caught up in everything that's happened has been taking a really big toll on my mental health, and I realized that I needed to take a step back and I needed to find a way to keep myself level-headed. I decided to throw in something lighthearted in case I needed some balance later this month. This is another book that I got from Book of the Month called One to Watch, and this is a romance novel. Our main character is plus-sized and she's basically the Bachelorette. Her name is B, and so she goes on to the show with the intent to not fall in love but to change the show because there's never any other plus-size people on there. She wants to supercharge her career, subvert harmful beauty standards, inspire women across America, and get a free hot air balloon ride. That's it. You know that's not gonna be it. This sounds like it's gonna be a combination of so many things that I love. Like, we've got the cutesy romance, we've got challenging modern day beauty standards, we love to see it. Also with like the whole reality TV thing, I feel like this book is going to be so freaking fun and very different in tone to basically every other book on this list, so I thought this might be a nice like change of pace if I need it in the middle of the month, you know? So those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in June. I'll have them all linked down below if you want to go check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're all doing okay out there. I would love to hear down below in the comments some books that you're hoping to read in June. I'm gonna have all the resources that I talked about linked down below in the description. I highly encourage you to go look at it. My book's coming out this month, which is kind of crazy. It's right there. The Anti-Virginity Pact is coming out June 16th. I'll have a link down below in the description if you're interested. I would love if you would read my book this month. But I also know everyone's TBRs are jam-packed this month, so I understand. But other than that, I think I'll just see you guys in another video very, very soon. Bye.
So hit me. So hit me. So hit me. First a confession. With you I feel a connection. With